let's get into this. Joining me now is the president and CEO of Whole Woman's Health, Amy Hagstrom Miller. Also, co-founder and executive director of Shero, Mississippi, Michelle Colon, and Nancy Cardenas-Pena, the Texas State Director for Policy at the National Institute for Reproductive Justice. So happy to have all you ladies with me this morning. Michelle, I do want to start with you because this ridiculous claim about the disproportionate abortion rates for Black women, it really belies broader economic and health inequities. For example, in 2017, a survey found only 39% of Black women could even afford birth control, and that was just at a cost of $10 or less. So I'm curious to hear from you how this loss of a constitutional right will impact the Black women in your state, Mississippi.
Well, abortion restrictions are medically unnecessary and based on false assumptions, and they are part of a broader political agenda that is racist, based in racism, xenophobia, and designed to exert power and control over pregnant people's bodies. And so protecting abortion access is essential in reproductive justice, and it's even more urgent in states with limited access to abortion like Mississippi and Texas.
Michelle, I want to stick with you on this because this whole notion that, women should have children and just, let the kids get adopted. Well, that's not always a safe route, particularly for Black and brown kids. Black kids do not get adopted often. We have stats on it. There are often kids who stay in the system for a long time. When you look at the stats of who gets adopted, it is disproportionately white children. There are currently tens of thousands of children, hundreds of thousands of children in the foster care system who are just being shuttled through. So when people say that's a right, what would be your response? Or that's a better path for women, what would be your response?
I'm all for adoption, don't get me wrong, but just like your stats are right there, the proof is in the pudding. There is no rush to adopt Black babies or brown babies. Let's be clear about that. Just like there is no rush by the Republicans and the anti-abortion terrorists and lawmakers in protecting and safeguarding the life of Black and brown children and Black and brown people in this country. So that is false rhetoric, and it's rhetoric that has been used for decades by the anti-abortion establishment in trying to appeal to Black people, and then also to shame Black women and Black pregnant people in deciding or in choosing abortion health care.
Right. To appeal, to shame, and to then disregard. Amy, you just heard Michelle refer to the anti-abortionists as terrorists, and she has a point because the quote-unquote people who call themselves pro-life, they achieved this through violence. When you look through I'm old enough to remember that in the 80s, anti-abortion protesters began bombing clinics, threatening doctors. By 1990, 1,000 abortion doctors had quit. 84% counties nationwide had no abortion clinic. You are an abortion provider. What does this ruling mean for you?
So Michelle is right, and I'm thankful to be here, Tiffany, this morning with both Michelle and Nancy. There is violence and it is terrorism. And I think it's very important for us to recognize that it is Christian extremism that is at the root of this shame and this stigma that allows laws like this to pass, that allows justices like this to be confirmed. And this does not represent the majority of feelings and beliefs of people in this country. Everybody knows and loves somebody who's needed an abortion in their lifetime. This is not how any of us want people who need our compassion and our dignified care to be treated at any point in time. There's no way that half of the country should lose access to safe abortion care because of a law like this. It's time for people to speak up, and it's been time for people to speak up. And our clinics and all the independent clinics I know across the country are trying to do as much as we can to stay open as long as possible and welcome as many people for compassionate care as we can.
So I want to stick with you for a second, Amy, because once this ruling becomes public and becomes essentially, they kick it back to states, some people think, this ruling will happen and you won't be able to get an abortion tomorrow. That's not necessarily true. They're saying this is a states' right issue. You have a lot of clinics in Texas. So let's just say in Texas, that's a place where you can assume abortion rights will not be available there. Literally, what will happen to your clinics? Will you shut the doors? Do you offer other services?
Sure. This kind of back and forth, of course, we know is designed to confuse and delay and make our patients uncertain and our staff living on the edge. It's been a long time in Texas that we've had abortion bans like this. And we are here to care for people and give them the accurate information. Of course, if they ban abortion outright, it's going to be extremely difficult for the majority of abortion providers in the 26 states that are at risk, including Texas, to keep our doors open. We provide miscarriage management, we provide contraception, but like you talked about, so many people can't get access to those services in places like Texas. This is not only about abortion, it's about disenfranchised populations who don't have health insurance, who don't have access to preventative care, et cetera. So we are going to do our best to stay open to provide care that is for folks who need to travel, for folks who are going to be forced to continue a pregnancy against their will, and for folks who are turning to self-managed abortion.
And you mentioned, Amy, disenfranchised populations. I want to bring you into the conversation, Nancy, because as these, anti-choice activists eroded abortion rights, what happened is abortion providers became sketchy because doctors were afraid of the violence. And so there were incidents of abortion doctors cutting corners, still causing challenges for women. Some abortion doctors, there was reporting of them trading in child pornography because the pool of doctors to do it became so thin and little. And I immediately thought about the undocumented and immigrant community and how a ruling like this will impact them. Curious your thoughts there.
Yeah, here in Texas, state-sanctioned violence looks a lot of different ways, right? Even though we have this leak come out from the court, we have to look at the landscape of abortion access in Texas and how difficult it was already. And so when we're talking about border communities like the Rio Grande Valley, for example, where I do my work, we are talking about internal immigration checkpoints 100 miles in the United States that make it impossible for people who are undocumented to leave those areas. And so whatever care the state of Texas offers is what folks without that documentation are subject to. And so this conversation about leaving to another state, which is already a difficult conversation, right? Because the majority of people here in Texas who have abortions are already parents. That's just not a thing. That's not impossible, and that's not reflective of the work that we do.
Completely. And Michelle, I want to come back to you. We've been talking a lot about abortion rights all week, and people keep throwing up polling, that a majority of Americans do support abortion rights. But even polling aside, because my big point is, if you don't have a uterus, please shut the entire you-know-what up. It really doesn't concern you. I want you to take a listen to Vice President Kamala Harris, then Senator Harris, question now Justice Kavanaugh on this very issue, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
The fictitious Vice President Selena Meyer on the HBO show Veep says that if men could get pregnant, you'd probably be able to get an abortion at an ATM. I think that's a valid point to make here. Curious your thoughts on the people who help make this. They're mostly men, mostly white men, and mostly white men enablers. What would you say to them this morning around this legislation or this ruling out of the Supreme Court that's going to have a devastating impact on so many women across this country, even their own supporters?
I'd have to agree with the comment that you made, and I'm trying to keep it classy because I love you, Tiffany. But no, I don't think anyone with a penis should have any say unless it's someone that me or that pregnant person includes into that decision. And moving forward, when dealing with women's health care and people with vagina, and when I say women, I'm including non-gender conforming individuals and trans women. So if you are someone who does not have a vagina, if you don't have a uterus, you should not be making any decisions, any opinions, unless you are a medically trained and schooled doctor. Period. That's all I'm going to say on that. The other thing is that, you know what, we have midterms coming up, and it's going to be real interesting to see where, the quote unquote white Republican pro-choice woman, i.e. the Susan Collins of the world, that Becky, if she's going to get up and put her vote where her mouth is. Because again, while we talk about how this impacts Black and brown pregnant people, honey, they coming for Becky's rights too. So your uterus and your womb is not safe as well. So now it's time for you to buck up, girl.